Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk, a petition is calling on the Supreme Court to investigate the state's public defender system. This comes after a report released earlier this year called Indiana's system underfunded and unconstitutional. Does the secret to protecting your health long into the future lie in your teeth?
Whether it's helping healing your knees from arthritis, or if you're having knee surgery.
Ahead, inside the science of using stem cells from your teeth to regrow whatever your body needs. On average, more than 130 people died every day last year from a drug overdose. The federal government has authorized $500 million to fight the opioid epidemic. Will it be enough to turn the tide, and how much does Indiana stand to receive? Plus, the state parks celebrate 100 years. These stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Some attorneys are asking the state Supreme Court to overhaul Indiana's public defender system. Barbara Brosier was in Indianapolis this week when the attorneys filed their petition for rulemaking. She joins us now with more.
Well, Joe, the Constitution guarantees everyone the right to a defense. The two attorneys filing this petition want the Supreme Court to step in and investigate whether Indiana is meeting that obligation.
The petition comes after a nonprofit group called the Sixth Amendment Center released a study earlier this year claiming Indiana's public defender system is failing. The study found public defenders in many of Indiana's 92 counties take on too many cases, resulting in ineffective counsel. The Sixth Amendment Center says that violates defendants' constitutional rights. Executive Director David Carroll says Indiana spends less per capita on public defense than other smaller states, such as Louisiana, which is drawing national attention for problems with its system.
The best guesses are that you're spending less than $60 million a year. So you're going to have to spend a significant amount of money to get to Louisiana's level of the crisis.
The two attorneys who signed the petition want to see a statewide public defender system established. There are currently 37 counties that don't participate in a state reimbursement program for some public defense cases, which means they don't have to comply with Indiana standards.
What we hope will happen is that the court will look at this seriously and take steps to examine it in a comprehensive way.
Sutherland and another attorney also filed a class action lawsuit last year claiming Johnson County failed to provide adequate public defense in several cases. A similar lawsuit challenging Allen County's system is pending in federal court. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brosier.
So Barbara, can you explain a little bit more about how Indiana's current public defender system works?
So every state has the task of meeting this constitutional obligation to provide public defense, but each state can decide how it's going to meet that obligation. In Indiana, it's kind of unusual because every county and city can decide how they're going to provide public defense to those who qualify. Now, there are some counties in Indiana that participate in a reimbursement program, and if they participate in that, they do have to meet some standards that the state sets forth. But the thing is, there are only 2 people in the entire state who enforce those standards. So even counties who participate may not be meeting standards for caseloads and training for attorneys.
So what are some of the changes that the state could maybe consider adopting?
There are a lot of ways that the system could change. The attorneys that filed this petition said funding is the #1 thing that's needed. We heard that Indiana spends a very small amount per capita on public defense, and there's about 90% of people who have faced felony cases in Indiana actually rely on a public defender. So they take on a lot of cases.
So is this something the Supreme Court could ultimately decide on, or is this something that we have to go through the legislature?
Well, they're the ones who this petition was filed for, and so they're going to hopefully examine the system. But when we're talking about anything with money, the legislature would have to take this issue up to authorize any spending.
All right, thank you very much, Barbara. Governor-elect Eric Holcomb is waiting to unveil his full legislative agenda until January 5th, just after the General Assembly convenes. As Meredith Juliet reports, Holcomb says his mission is to take Indiana to the next level, but he isn't offering specifics on how he plans to do that.
Holcomb delivered his first major speech this week since winning November's election. Holcomb wants to solve the drug epidemic, develop the state's economy, improve infrastructure, and expand a pre-K pilot program. He says he's not worried about waiting until early January to fully flesh out the details of his agenda.
Having talked to governors all around the country, successful as they are, they emphasize the point that get it right. Don't rush anything if you don't have to.
Holcomb has not said how he will pay for any of his stated priorities. Consultants advised earlier this year that any infrastructure improvements would almost certainly require a tax increase. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Meredith Juliet.
9th District Representative-elect Trey Hollingsworth is asking for help paying off some of his campaign loans. Hollingsworth is trying to recoup about $250,000. He says the money would be used to pay vendors. Hollingsworth used about $3 million of his own fortune to fund his campaign. He's one of the richest representatives in the House with assets totaling more than $58 million. Now, Barbara Brosier joins us again with the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Recently retired state lawmaker Brent Steele has been hired as executive director of the Vapor Association of Indiana. Steele voted in favor of a vaping bill last year that limits the companies that can make and sell e-liquids. As the Vapor Association's director, Steele will represent the few companies licensed to manufacture e-liquids under the new law. Critics of the law say they're disappointed in Steele's new position. However, Steele insists that he sees no ethical issues with it. The deadline to enroll in an insurance plan is Monday at midnight for coverage starting January 1st. As J.D. Gray reports, officials are urging uninsured Hoosiers to pick a plan before the open enrollment period ends.
If you've already enrolled in a plan through the federal marketplace, your coverage will kick in January 1st. If you haven't signed up, you have until the end of January.
Signing up is very easy, and it can mean the difference between living with the risk of needing care while uninsured or with the peace of mind that comes from having quality, affordable coverage.
Congressman Andre Carson was joined this week in Indianapolis by the Regional Director of Health and Human Services, Kathleen Falk. They say the average Hoosier qualifies for tax credits and can get a plan for less than $75 a month.
We encourage people to shop because what the numbers show in Indiana here is that almost everybody who's currently enrolled in the marketplace will save money by shopping and picking a new plan.
Falk acknowledges there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the future of the Affordable Care Act, but says if you do sign up for insurance, you can count on coverage for the entire 2017 calendar year. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm J.D. Gray.
A federal grand jury this week indicted 2 former Vigo County School Corporation officials on wire fraud and other charges for allegedly embezzling more than $80,000. The indictment names former facilities director Frank Fennell and Frank Shahady, a former Vigo County deputy sheriff who was assigned to the school district. Both are charged with 9 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of theft. Fennell also faces 2 counts of making false statements. Investigators say the 2 men took kickbacks from a contractor. Groups involved in the construction of I-69 between Bloomington and Martinsville say there's a renewed effort to finish work on Section 5 of the interstate. In September, crews walked off the job because of a payment dispute between contractors and subcontractors. I-69 Development Partners project manager Gary Vandegrift says that is behind them now.
To kind of reset and refocus on the task at hand And I think everybody has went the extra mile to put forth the effort needed and continue to put forth the effort needed to get the road built.
Vandegrift says developers are currently shooting for an October 2017 completion date, more than a year later than originally planned. Plans for a new jail in Vigo County are moving forward, even though officials haven't yet decided how they'll pay for it. Hallie Pilot reports.
At a public meeting Tuesday, architects discussed the latest budget and design plans for the new facility. It will have space for 534 beds and an expanded medical unit. Garmon Construction performed 3 cost models to predict the total cost of the jail, one for square footage, one for bed count, and a detailed cost analysis. Then they averaged the models and calculated the final cost of the new facility, about $67 million. The current jail is overcrowded and the county is facing a number of lawsuits related to the condition of the jail.
Because they've got to build a new jail. There's no question about that. They're going to need more space, and so it's time just to move on.
The county council will ultimately have to figure out where to find the funding.
Well, that's the problem that we are strapped with as a council, and we will be looking at, I guess, 2 or 3 options. We have to come up with some new revenue streams.
The design is still in its early stages, but once the project breaks ground, it will take about 2.5 years to complete. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Hallie Pilot.
80,000 new refugees were displaced this week as a result of the violence in the Syrian city of Aleppo. It's unclear how the U.S. policies towards refugees might change when President-elect Donald Trump takes office next month.
My hope is that seeing the tragedy that has happened in Aleppo will change people's hearts and elicit some compassion from them.
There's been no official word from the State Department on any new refugee resettlement programs. Bloomington was approved as a resettlement community in September. Refugees were supposed to start arriving next year, but it's unclear when that might happen now. Repairs to a historic bridge in Paoli are delayed, but officials are hopeful they'll still be able to get started before the end of the year. The bridge collapsed under the weight of a semi almost a year ago. The Orange County Commissioners finalized contracts for bridge repairs in October, and construction was slated to start within 30 days. The cost is estimated at $750,000. A contract requires the work be finished by August. The Columbus Band is going to D.C. for the inauguration despite missing its fundraising deadline. The group needed to raise $125,000. They're still accepting donations and hope the remaining few thousand will come in. Vice President-elect Governor Mike Pence graduated from Columbus North and promised the band a spot in the inaugural parade if they could raise the money. And Joe, the Ladies Professional Golf Association Tour is bringing its senior LPGA championship to French Lick. The announcement comes more than a year after the Pete Dye course hosted the senior men's PGA championship. This is the first year for a senior women's PGA championship, and the competition will have more than 80 players, Joe. It takes place in July.
Just seeing that weather, though, isn't that something?
I wish we had that right now.
Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. The federal government is dedicating $500 million to fight the opioid epidemic. An expert joins us in studio to explain how much money the state might get and where it could have the most impact. And how harvesting stem cells from your teeth could protect your health in the future. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
We are a nation of explorers. We seek new ways of living, of thinking, and of expressing ourselves. We take risks, we learn from experience, and we keep moving forward. That's why we encourage and celebrate the explorer in all of us.
$10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5. 24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000. 650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. $1 billion is being divvied up across the country to help fight the opioid epidemic. The federal dollars are part of the 21st Century Cures Act. It will be allocated based on need. In Indiana, drug overdoses have quadrupled since 1999. Baja Andraka Christou is an expert on harm reduction. She joins us now to talk about how much money Indiana could receive and how it might be used. So $500 million a year over 2 years. How do you expect that to be divided up across the country?
Well, so we know from the act itself that it's intended primarily to address those $500 to address opioid addiction in hard-hit communities. So in theory, every state could have that split up equally, but given the skyrocketing rates in Indiana, especially in southern Indiana and Scott County, I would expect that groups that apply for grants to the state would be getting money, especially in that area of Indiana. And then, of course, Indiana applying to the federal government would be one of the priority states, along with Kentucky, West Virginia, and the other states who have been hit the hardest by the opioid epidemic.
Is there any way to tell about how much of the share, though, Indiana would get?
At this point, we don't know. And part of the problem is that this is an authorization, right? This is not an appropriation. So the way this is written, it will need to be appropriated every year. And actually, the authorization is for 10 years. So the opioid specific part is 2 years, as you mentioned, $500 million a year for 2 years. But there's actually even more money that is available, up to about $6 billion that will be going primarily to the NIH. And the state could be trying to get that money. Individual researchers, individual schools, medical schools could be trying to get that money. And all of that will have to be reappropriated every year. So a lot will be based on Congress.
So $500 million a year for that first year. It sounds like a lot, but is it really, is it really going to have an impact?
$500 billion, I think it will.
$500 million?
Or million, sorry. Yes, I think it will. If you look, for example, at CARA, which, I thought was an amazing act. I was so excited that it was passed. That only authorized about $180 million, and that was back in July. The amount of efforts described in that act alone, prevention, treatment, improving pretrial diversion programs in the criminal justice system. When I looked at the money in that act, I thought, okay, there's no way all this can be accomplished with $180 million. When I think about $500 million, though, for 1 year, and then for the next year, I think, okay, now we're getting a lot closer to actually accomplishing what was set out in CARA, as well as the additional things that are set out in this act.
We just have a few seconds left, but how quickly might that money be allocated to?
So as soon as the appropriations process goes through, at that point, the allocation can begin. And I hope Indiana will be a priority state.
Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you've ever been worried about difficulties resulting from a stroke, or if you struggle with diabetes, a new futuristic investment might save your life. Meredith Juliet reports how the future of medicine may lie in your teeth.
Getting your wisdom tooth extracted may be a toothache for the day, but someday down the road, that tooth may save your life. Long gone are the days of placing a tooth under your pillow. A new tooth fairy is offering much more than a few dollars.
We've been able to grow them into bone, cartilage, nerve, cardiac tissue, skin.
ToothBank is a company that harvests and stores teeth from your dentist. Byers says the stem cells in your teeth are set to replace modern medicine.
Yeah, I think like in the modern world today, a lot of your medicine from Big Pharma is pill-based form.
And in the future, researchers believe these harvested stem cells will be regrown into whatever your body needs. They've regrown the whole right side of someone's jaw, an esophagus, and one man in England used his dental stem cells to help manage his diabetes.
You'll develop the cell line for treatment of this particular disease, and things can be more specialized to the actual individual over something that's sold more on the masses.
Right now, these trials exist in labs, but the patients banking their teeth hope for practical applications of this technology within their lifetime. Matt Bodrab is an oral surgeon. He says he's confident in the stem cell research.
I talked to all of the patients about it, especially the kids that come in for their wisdom teeth extractions and the younger kids that come in for other extractions.
Bodrab says he harvests around 2 or 3 clients' teeth each week.
So we're already taking out the teeth, and all we do is you drop them into a special container that's got a special solution, and then we take that container, we seal it, and we put it in an ice bag, and we ship it off to the company.
Currently, a little over 2,500 clients have banked their teeth, which are stored in large stainless steel containers filled with liquid nitrogen. Toothbank has 2 locations, one in Indianapolis, the other in Salt Lake City. Byers says this is because the 2 locations are considered climate safe.
California deals with earthquakes and a lot of things. East Coast can have hurricanes. You know, we do have the chance of tornadoes, but we're also in a solid concrete building.
Banking your dental stem cells will cost you $590 for the first year and $115 for every year after that. Byers says this is cheaper than storing stem cells from umbilical cord blood.
This is $590 compared to, you know, umbilical cord blood banking, which runs about $2,000.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Meredith Juliet.
Dental stem cells have regenerative properties, so once they're stored, they will never run out. Well, we learned this week that the state standardized exam, the I-STEP, might be getting a new name, but the test itself might not change for a couple more years. And school rankings came out this week. Our education reporter Clara McInerney joins me now. First of all, we got more insight into the creation of the new I-STEP. Can you explain what's new?
So the law that's on the books right now got rid of the I-STEP as we know it right now and says by spring 2018, kids should be taking a new version. That would give legislators, the Department of Education, and schools less than a year to write it and implement it. And so a lot of national advisors have been saying that's probably not a good idea. So this week at a legislative conference kind of previewing what to expect, Senator Dennis Cruz of the Senate Education Committee told us that they are going to rethink that timeline a little bit.
And we need, I think, about 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years to really get a new test that is sound, based on our standards and thought out and vetted clearly through the education system and teachers, and I think that'll become a better test then at the end of that time.
And if legislators want to put a few more years into the process to make sure it's well done, they would have to put that in the law. So we'll see what that looks like when they convene January 3rd.
And hey, we got the school A through F grades. Tell us about the grades.
So this year we saw 600 fewer A's, a lot more B's and C's, and then slightly more D's and F's. And the reason this could be is because the state changed the formula they use to calculate those grades. So it used to be a school was rewarded if a lot of their students passed the I-STEP. So they changed that calculation to a school is rewarded if their kids improve on the I-STEP, regardless of passage rates. So that could be a reason why we see them shifted. They've also been taking new tests the last few years, and research shows when that happens, scores dip. So maybe in the next few years we'll see these grades level out, but this year the slices of the pie, so to say, are leaning towards more B's and C's.
All right, thank you very much, Claire. On this day 100 years ago, the Indiana Park System was presented to the state to celebrate Indiana's 100 years of statehood. Our Becca Costello has been traveling the state this year, visiting every park and then documenting her adventures. Tonight she brings us the story that looks ahead to the next 100 years.
There are 24 state parks and 8 reservoirs in Indiana, one within an hour's drive of every Hoosier. That's all thanks to the efforts of Indianapolis businessman Richard Lieber, often called the father of Indiana's state parks.
Number one, Colonel Richard Lieber, who was our founder, wanted to provide protection, conservation for important natural areas and historic features in our state. The second thing was to provide places for people to get outside, relax, recuperate, reduce stress, enjoy themselves, be with family and friends, and just have time away from the world.
The parks have maintained that diversity over the past century. Visitors can bike or hike on more than 700 miles of trails. You can see beaches, forests, prairies, rivers, lakes, and waterfalls, all within state park boundaries. Wabache is home to the state's only bison herd, and the world's only known working hay press is at Spring Mill State Park. Looking ahead to the next 100 years, Murphy says the park system may grow if the land becomes available, but she says the most important goal is to pass on a sustainable park system to the next generation.
That's an important part of going into the future, is making sure that kids are having experiences like their parents and their grandparents did, so that they learn to appreciate and take care of our parks as well. And that's one of the things that we'll be doing in the second century of parks.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Becca Costello.
The parks are wrapping up their celebrations with several history programs over the weekend. You can see a complete list at WTIUnews.org. Well, we saw a lot of snow in Indiana this week, but here's something we haven't seen in a while. The slopes at Paoli Peaks are open. It's the first year in quite a while that Paoli has been able to open this early. Paoli Peaks is known for their slopes where you can go skiing or snowboarding. Crews started making snow last week, and the temperature has stayed cool enough that they've been able to get several inches packed on to most of the slopes. Now, a little further to the east, Perfect North Slopes is also welcoming skiers. They opened on Monday. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.